Check, 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 checking microphone. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Cody from Motorcycle MD, and my Nighthawk's been sitting for far too long. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how to rip out the carburetors from this model. I believe it ranges anywhere from 91 and the 03, multiple different colors, couple of different options as far as headlight bucket changes and that kind of stuff, but it's all the same bike. All right, I advise you to obviously get a manual if you're going to go this deep into the bike to remove and take apart obviously the carburetors. Get a manual. I would suggest, this is just a pro tip for you guys, don't get any of the 90s style manuals. Go for the 2001-02 manual. It's just way better done. I really hate all 90s manuals. The layout of the manuals is ridiculous. Honestly, the 70-year model bikes manuals were better than what the 90s put out. Regardless, if you got it, great, use it. But factory Honda manual is obviously best. In fact, a little bonus for you guys, me and emanualsonline.com just hooked up. I got you guys a discount code. They're an awesome product. You can download the manual straight off their website, instant download into a PDF, print out whatever you want. Factory manuals, guys. Hook it up. Check out the link. They'll be in the description below as well. I believe they have some kind of deal going on right now. So check it out. But it's time to dust this girl off. It's been way too long. And take the carbs out. They need to be clean so I can ride this thing. All right, seat's got to come off, tank's got to come off. You can go ahead and pull the battery box out, the battery as well, because we will be shifting some things around in there to make things easier on us, okay? So, let's do it. One more thing, please excuse my disgustingly wrinkly shirt. I pulled it straight out of the drawer, folded it up and everything. No idea what happened. Oh well. Check it out, y'all. Back to the roots. Motorcycle MD POV style shooting, just like I did in the good old days. So, alright, take off this ungodly heavy Corbin seat. I already have the battery out. I would go ahead and take yours out as well. Don't mind my extra wiring there for heated grips. Man, this thing is nasty. Oh my gosh. It's probably drywall dust. Side cover. There's one down here. Be careful, these little tabs are kind of easy to break, so just, if you can, try to get as close as you can with your hands behind it to pry it off. Two little snaps go back into this rear fender right here. Here's our airbox. And next is the gas tank. We need to take this vacuum line off. Look how hard that is. Ridiculous. I've been neglecting this bike for way too long. Since 2017 to be exact. Alright. Enough beating myself up. There's a fuel line that goes that way. Okay, but we're going to pop this vacuum line off really easily. Take the 12mm socket bolt right here out to 8mm bolt. When I refer to bolts, I'm going to refer to the head size. People might snarl at me, but that's what I do. So 12mm socket here, and we're going to be able to lift the tank upwards to undo the main fuel hose. Nice set of angled pliers are amazing. Hose clamp, just get on both ends of it. With the pliers you can pull it down. Pull this, you can kind of just use the base of that for a leverage point. Okay, but obviously I'm not at the shop. I don't have all my tools readily available, but I have most of them. Starting to duplicate stuff. Alright, so we got that bolt out. There's a washer. This is not stock. With a collar in the center, probably all one piece. I obviously had to make something for myself. God, that gas tank is hideous. That's what happens when you let a jock strap paint the tank and not do a good job at all. I didn't paint it. I didn't know it was painted. Actually, I knew it was painted when I bought it way back in the day, but in a matter of like one summer, that's what happened. Look at that. garbage. Ooh, shiny. I'm gonna grab a 4x4. Let that tank up out of the way. That way we can see my fuel line. I do have a aftermarket fuel filter in there. Man, look at this. It's so nasty. Fuel line with a little fuel filter in there. Even though there's already a fuel filter in the tank, I just double it up because why not? Grab this hose behind here. I'm going to use these, kind of take it on the hose. Do a little bit of this, not too much to tear it. And once I get it to move a little bit, I'll get right in front of it and I'll kind of pry it backwards like that. Fits really nice to me. It should come right off. Alright, there we go. I don't even know if that fuel valve still works. Alright, so the tank is free now. Okay, the bolt's off, hoses are off. It goes onto 2 ears in the front, so we'll just pull it straight back. I'm going to put it on a table with this 4x4 to keep it off of the fuel valve while we do our carb disassembly or our carb removal. Grab the front, come straight back. Oh, it's full. Oh, it's really full. This thing's got to be emptied. Hiya. Try to keep pressure off this thing. Pop this vacuum hose off. Please don't ask me if you can remove this. Yes, you can, but I would not. Especially if you have a California model bike. Oh, I probably should have mentioned that. This is a non-California model bike. It will be very different with vacuum routing. I hate California model bikes, to be honest with you. What a pain in the butt. I'm going to take this and just kind of bend it back for now so it can fling out and hit me right in the head later. Okay, clutch. So we got our choke cable and our 2 throttle cables. And then we'll be going after all of the band clamps. There'll be 8 of them, okay? On this side as well as on this side. Then we're going to take this battery box and we're going to slam it backwards as much as we can. You don't really need to worry about the throttle cables right now. You actually spend more time trying to get them off. It's easier if you just undo the clamps, and when you're getting the carbs to come out, you can come out this way with them to the right. And then the cables are right there in your hand. You can kind of disassemble them right there. So if you spend your time trying to disconnect the throttle cables right now, you're just wasting time. I'm going to loosen up this choke, see if I can't get at least this one out. Kind of pull the choke system up. And then find the slot. Looks like the slot goes towards the left. See what I'm saying? I'm just wasting time right now. I'm just wasting your time because I feel like once I start something, I gotta finish it. Since I started getting the cable out, I gotta finish getting the cable out. There we go. Alright, I win. Alright, choke cable's out. Let's go ahead and start loosening up all these band clamps. How about that? How about it? Alright. Black starter off my, I forgot, what year is this one? This one is, 99. So, this motor is out of a 92? 92? So that motor, and there's the black motor, which is the one I like, came out of this bike. This motor came out of that bike. This motor had very low miles on it. I think it had like 7,000, so it's still a good motor. But the starter crapped out on me, and I was trying to get home one night from work because I had stayed late at work. This is years ago. I can't believe how long it's been. Trying to get home one night, and I went to start my bike, and it just crapped out. Battery was fully charged. Got me home because it was like 11 o'clock, and I just wanted to go home. Nothing like working really hard on, I was probably doing a video or something like that, working really hard on doing all that, and you're just exhausted, and you're like, man, I'm ready to go home now. And then you're forced to do another job before you go home. Like, forced to. That's always fun. I like to feel the back of the screw when I'm doing this, and get it all the way to the end before it pops out of the clamp, okay? all the way to the end. Don't just go, oh, it's loose now. Just give it as much of a fighting chance as you can. Like this one, all the way to the end, okay? Just give it all the love you can. One of these long Phillips head screwdrivers makes it really convenient, but you really can't reach nothing. You can't reach the mixtures on this thing. It just makes it a pain. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4 are loose. Awesome. And if you are, so take these out for the first time, and they may have never been out before, I'll show you some tricks to know if they have or not. Obviously, if the screws on these band clamps are all chewed up from some dummy trying to loosen them up with something like a Torx head or something like that, I don't know. Or if you see like these top screws are boogered up, and you can kind of look in there and see that these ones are also boogered up. Someone's obviously been in there. Or yeah, if you see that kind of stuff, it's the first time you take it out, just visually inspect what's going on. The California models, I'm not going to say much about them because I don't have one present, so I'm going to feed you a bunch of stuff that I can't back up right now because I just haven't seen one in a while. Thank God. It's just a bunch of extra piping. That's all it is. But just, you kind of see the spacing from which the carb meets the flange. Because if you were to, take these apart 1 month later, you get them all back together, or a week later, get them all back together, and you try to put them on, you're like, man, why can't I get them to go all the way on? It's probably because they weren't all the way on, or that's how they are supposed to be. It's that gap I'm telling you about right now. They're not supposed to be slammed up all the way in there. Same with these. Obviously, you want these boots to be as far forward as humanly possible, and it can become a bear when you're going back together with it to really get force on the airbox and then hold it and then tighten it and then, slap your dog because you can't get it right. Notice the orientation of which these throttle cables go. You have one with 2 lock nuts that goes towards the rear. You have one with 1 lock nut that goes towards the front. Just note that orientation. Okay, if you wanted to, you can actually just pop this bracket off right here instead of taking them all the way loose. Let's see if I can get them. One hard downward pressure and snap it loose. Pull this all the way off. There's obviously some tension on the cables, but now that bracket's loose, and look, the throttle cables come right with it. So I can just put these right back in their place. These are longer than the other ones. That's the only difference between those and the others. Let's move this airbox back, okay? This thing is all the way forward. It's bolted in certain positions. We're gonna unbolt every 10 millimeter head bolt, 6 millimeter bolt, 10 millimeter head bolts all the way around this airbox. One up top of here. I believe we got one right here. One right here. I think there's 2 on the other side as well. So just pop out all these 10 millimeter bolts. They're 6 millimeter bolts, but they have 10 millimeter heads, okay? Jeez. My grounds. And one right here. Maybe? Yeah. The battery and the cage have this piece on there. If yours is still on. Here's my battery drain. This is like a bracket. You can leave it on there if you want. Might want to sandblast that and paint it back up again because it's looking dirty. So that's loose. I don't think there's any more bolts. No, I don't think so. I may be wrong. One. Got our big block box down here. All this should be... Alright, cool. So, now we're going to attempt to pull this airbox backwards. Every little bit helps. There we go. Alright, all the way back. Let's see how much room that's given us here at the carbs, man. Just by yanking this thing backwards. Look at that, almost an inch play. So now we got to pull the carbs off. So I'm definitely going to be pulling the carbs out from the right side. Remember, that's the side of the throttle cable is run down. Alright. We are on the center stand. If yours does not have a center stand, I'm sorry. But I feel like I'm coming down to, how you guys operate. I don't have a lift right now. But this is how it is. If it's on the side stand, just be careful, okay? No forward motion, especially when you're going back on. Especially when you're going back on. Put that thing in gear if you're gonna have it on the side stand, because when you're trying to push these things on, you're not paying attention, you're putting a lot of force on it, boom, the thing rolls right off the center stand or the side stand, and then now your legs caught underneath the bike because you're rolled over on top of you. All right, so please be safe with that, guys. Center stand's the same thing. I would say it's actually more dangerous to have it on a center stand. I'm gonna straddle the bike like a man. I'm gonna pull the bottoms of them back like this, and just gonna keep straining to do that. Got nothing else in the way. Just back and forth, just kind of wobbling them. And see how she does. Down. The struggle is real. Kind of pulling back on the bottom of the bowls. There we go. Sweet. So I just kind of rolled them up. A lot of force. Just roll them up, grab the bottom of the bowls as best you can. Grab them by the bowls, you know? Grab them by the bowls. That's the line of this video. Grab them by the bowls. Grab them by the bowls! So yeah, just by sliding this airbox back as far as I can really make these things slide. Try not to bend the clamps too much. And come up. My fuel line's hooked. Boom. Okay. Throttle cables are right there. Your carbs probably do have gas in them. Look how rusted that is. Man. There's one throttle cable. This throttle cable right here goes in front of this choke. Okay, don't put it behind it. Goes out in front. I'm going to take this bottom one, kind of push the throttle cables down and in. I can kind of grab this cable with my finger. Work that out. Boom. Carbs are out. They need a bath, that's for sure. Cool. Diaphragms seem to be working, they're not stuck yet. I gotta take these off and paint them, that's for sure. That's nasty. Also, interesting thing, you notice that the two outer caps are a nice chrome. That's because Honda's too cheap to put them all the way in on the inside ones, because you don't really see them anyways, but they said, oh, put nice chrome ones on the outside because it looks like they're all chrome, right? No, they're just too cheap to put them on the inner ones. So if you ever buy a spare set of carbs, keep the outer ones, put them on the middle ones, then you got full top chromes. Full top chromes! So what I was trying to say before my GoPro so rudely cut me off, pry points that you can hit on, let's say the prying it off method doesn't work for you. Maybe you have bad wrists, bad fingers, bad shoulder, whatever. Leverage is going to be your key when you're coming off with them. There's a couple places that you can hit, so let's say that goes onto the motor, right? This bracket down here is pretty sturdy. Okay, so if you can get a piece of wood up on the fins, and maybe a crowbar or something like that, pry bar, then you can pry up against the wood and pry up against this bracket here, kind of bend these downward. That works too. That way you're not straining over top of the bike. This is a good bracket too, on top of here. Okay, for going back on when you're going to pry them back on, using the frame or something like that, with some wood and trying to protect as much as you possible, trying to push these back on. This top bracket works too. Okay, these mixture screws here, you see that I cut all the little flags off of them so that they can be spun. Sometimes I'll even use some like a hot flame or something like that to heat these up. These are just caps that are just glued on to the mixtures. I'll use some heat. They'll come right off with enough heat. I do it with them outside of the bike, obviously taken off of the carb. You can kind of hold it with some pliers, heat that tip up, and then pull that cap off. And then you got a little flathead screw you can adjust. But that's one way you can know if someone's been in there. Also, what I'd recommend is since you have the carbs off, don't tip them upside down or lay them on their side because there may be gas inside the bowls. Okay, and I would just drain that out. There's a little flathead screw, as you can see there. There's 3 facing one way, 1 facing the other. All right, make sure you note that orientation. Crack that flathead screw open. Drain, gas will come out of the little nipple on the bottom, drain into a bowl or something like that, or back into the tank, or whatever you're doing with it. It's probably old gas, so dispose of it however you need. You can obviously have done that before you took the carbs out, but whatever. Just a little side note. So now that the carbs are out, great time to clean up the motor. Obviously, you can clean these oil lines up pretty well. You do want to cover up your intakes here with some cloths in case any debris gets inside of there. You don't want that. Now, one thing that I do desperately want to point out to you guys that I've seen happen, believe it or not. So on these intakes, as these dry out, get old, sorry for the nasally sound, came out with a cold, but you see on these intakes how it kind of shaves off. You see those little pieces of rubber kind of hanging out. It may be worse on others. You might even see like little slivers of rubber that have just kind of freed themselves up. Check this stuff out, okay, and scrape off with like a razor blade or something. Don't scrape the ridge of it off, because the ridge is what helps hold it into the flange. But as carbs go on and off over and over again, and this rubber gets harder and harder, that carburetor mouth can cut this rubber. Okay, what I've seen, and I've seen it, I'd probably say at least 5 times, where a customer had installed the carbs after they cleaned them, they bring it in, and it has compression or it doesn't run anymore, it ran before they cleaned the carbs or whatever. But what will happen is the rubber section will actually break off of the intake inside of here and then find its way down into the intake, and then it will literally place itself right between the valve and the valve seat. Okay, and that means that valve's not closing fully, which means it's leaking. So they'll have compression one time, or I'll be checking it and it has compression, it doesn't have compression else, and it'll run fine, and then it doesn't run fine anymore. It's just that rubber piece, it's just sitting there. It's not going anywhere, it's embedding itself into that valve and valve seat, and you gotta pull the whole motor apart to get that thing out. Okay, so just be mindful when you're coming in and out of here, or before you go back in, to check it. Alright, check these, and this is for any bike. It's not just this one, it's for any bike. These look pretty good. I did scrape off a piece of rubber from that far cylinder one, but check that stuff out. That's just a little pro tip for you guys. But that is it, guys. Getting the carburetors out of a Nighthawk. If you've completed the task, congratulations. You should be super pumped about getting them out. Obviously now you have a longer road ahead of you, a little bit more confusing, a little bit more intimidating, we will say, on tearing those things apart. Okay, tearing them apart and getting them cleaned and back together is the most vital step of your carb or your bike's restoration process, trying to bring it back, get it back on the road. It is very tedious. And if you don't know what you're doing, you can get in over your head. Okay, you think some things are good, you don't really know what is worn, what's too far gone, what you should run, what you shouldn't run, as far as leaving the parts in there and cleaning them out, and what should be cleaned. I mean, there's so many things inside of there that if you don't do it right, guess what? You're doing the same job 3 or 4 times until you do, okay? Lots of stuff that you, even though you can remove a lot of the parts off of them, the things that you can't see are what people miss all the time, especially with mixture pilot screws, transfer ports throughout the carbs, doing a nice bench sink, replacing the O-rings in between the carbs that leak like a sieve if you don't do them. All that has to come apart. The whole choke system, everything. Okay, if you don't do it right the first time, I promise you, you'll be right back at it again. It won't run right. You'll be asking more people about, oh, now it does this after I clean the carbs. I cleaned the carbs 4 or 5 times. It can be overwhelming. I just want to let you know that I have a full teardown video, start to finish, each part individually, going through what I would do with your carbs. Get them professionally cleaned, but with your own hands. I have that video available for you. I have multiple videos available for you. Broken down, hours of content, just showing you exactly what to do, what to look for, and it's available for you. Okay, be sure to check it out over at motorcyclemd.com. Go to the carb cleaning section and get them done right the first time. Okay, with my help. I'm right there with you. All right. So as always, Cody from Motorcycle MD, giving you guys some quality tips and tricks for your next build or your daily rider. Be sure to check out the mailing list to stay up to date on all of the live streams that go on when I go and answer your questions live with all the viewers here, just like you on YouTube. Check it out. Okay, join the mailing list. I'll see you guys around. Ride safe. Later.